Well, welcome to all of you who have joined us and who will be joining us. Namaskar, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. This part of this world connected by internet. Very happy to be with you again today. Today is uh, the 14th, 14th of August. It's 6:30 a.m. here in Washington, D.C. area. It's 4 p.m. in New Delhi. So God bless you, all of you. We have a very nice uh, spiral, chapter number 2 of the Chela and the Path from beloved Almoria's book on, that is very, it was one of his first book, as I understand, that he wrote for us as the disciples or the Chelas, we call him. So we were talking about that meaning of the word Chela. What does that mean? And some other things that Almoria wants to impart to us. Now, there's much more to share with you, but I think the main thing that comes to my mind is this: that the purpose of this book study group that we are doing, we have undertaken last week, is to really get to know the first of all the Guru himself, the, the Almoria as a Guru, what the Guru is all about, who is Almoria, what does he has, and then of course the next thing is what is he teaching us, what is the meaning of the path, the spiritual path, the spiritual journey, what he has accomplished, and how he wants us to really be, be victorious in this journey, the spiritual journey that we are all together. So we have much more to share as we begin. So let's do the first thing first. Jay, can we have the invocation from our beloved messenger, please?
O thou Ancient of Days, bestir our hearts, quicken thy sacred fire within us, purge us of the not-self, intensify white fire, divine love, the power of the blue flame of beloved Almoria. Come forth, ascended masters, adepts of the East. Come forth, Lord of the world. Enter our hearts, transform us by the alchemy of the seventh ray. By thy sacred fire, penetrate, penetrate, penetrate unto the core of being. Satisfy our souls with the light of gladness. Let thy beauty descend as sparkling waterfall. Angel Devas, Elohim archangels, ascended masters, all life in God, come celebrate eternal life within our hearts. In the fullness of thy great cosmic mastery, O life, intensify our well-being. Nurture our souls. Purge us of fear, darkness, and unknowing. O Lord of life, thou who dwellest in our temple, speak to us of love. Speak to us of the divine understanding. Speak to us of our entering in to the oneness of eternal being. Holy Kumara's great central sun magnet, purify and dispel. Distill, O God, the essence of our true reality. Let the fire consume unreality. Let us know true being. indeed. Therefore we affirm the seed of the Buddha within us and the living God, the Atman. Therefore do we worship at this altar. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, and the Divine Mother. In the name of the Lord of the world and the lineage of Sanat Kumara, we gather to serve in thy name. I am that I am.
I'd like to welcome on behalf of Chananda Culture Society all of you who have joined us and that will be joining us. Welcome, Kathleen. Nice to have you with us. Satija ji, welcome. Rita Lamba ji, welcome. Alka ji, welcome. Suchita Sharma ji, welcome. Pooja Nikale ji, welcome. And Anthony, welcome, my friend. What we do is like to do, what we would like to do in this book study group is really invite Almore's presence to us, so he can be leading through us, all of us, and this is book study group because we are just through our attunement and his blessing and his help, his guidance. We can really follow the word for word what when he wrote this book, Chela and The Path. I suggest that if you do not have this book, please see if you can request this book from Amazon. I think it will be a worthwhile study to have after review that. You can go back and kind of review that, and then also review the chapter for the next week. That will be doing that. I think that will be kind of homework. You can take it that way. So what we would like to do is really sing a song to. It's called More, M-O-R-E. Almoria had, you can see the word Almoria has the word M-O-R-E. Almoria, M-O-R-E. His meaning of his word, which it also something like that. But one of his embodiments, Thomas More, M-O-R-E. And so you're going to be singing a song to him. The wording will be on the screen. Song 188. If you have a book, you can actually look for that song in the book also. So it's a brief song, beautiful song, very personal song, very deep song. So we sing from our heart as we invite him to be into our midst, in our heart, in our body temple, so he can be one with us as we continue this book review, chapter 2 today. Welcome, Okezi, my friend from Nigeria. Indermonji, welcome. Uh, see, I don't see any other names, so I'm going to begin with our what we have on the plate on the agenda. Uh, I think it'll be good to know. Some of you may not know because when I joined this organization many years ago, I did not know about Almoria. I did not know about the Sunday Master's name. Even the word Sunday Master was kind of new to me, maybe foreign to me. I said I never heard this word as Sunday Master. What does it mean? So we're talking about Almoria. I did not know about Almoria, who Almoria is. So I think I assume that probably the same thing applies to many of you who are listening, wondering who is Almoria. And I looked into the book. It's called uh, Master and the Path, but it's also called the TSL Encyclopedia on Google. You can go through that. Put the word TSL Encyclopedia, and then you'll get that. And then you can. I put the search on Almoria. So I found some of the embodiments, some of them, not. So I'm going to share with them with you. Jay, can you please display that little write-up that I put together from TSL Encyclopedia, so we can get to know a little bit about as we, like it's guru. Somebody asks you, who's your guru? What do you know about Almora? Who's Almora? Where does it come from? So I think it's like knowing, trying to know some distant relative that we have not met, for a long, long time, and we meet him, and then he said, well, I haven't met you, and he says, but I know you, I know, but I know about him. And so I can say, I'm Almoria will say, I know all of you. I know much of everything about you, but I said, I don't know about you, Almoria. I've forgotten. So I think this is something that I thought would be helpful to kind of briefly, go over this little paragraph, and I'll try to explain that as we go forward. So here it says, Almoria is chief of the Darjeeling Council of the Great White Brotherhood, is the Chauhan of the First Ray, and hierarch of the Etheric Temple of Goodwill over Darjeeling, India. He is the founder of the Summit Lighthouse and the guru and teacher of the messengers Mark L. Prophet and Elizabeth Clare Prophet. Some of his embodiments are mentioned below. So there are six embodiments. There are many more, but I only found the six. I could have done some more research and there are some few more, but we do not know all of his embodiments because the masters have told us what he has told us. You might be thinking, how does he know? How does it tell his embodiments, or how does this all the teaching that has been put together on the TSL encyclopedia? What is the source of it? The source is, as you know, the word akasha, akashic or akasha, we call it. So the akashic records, you call them records, that can be read by many people. So these are the people who have attainment, who are the adepts, they can read them. So these two messengers, Mark L. Prophet and Elizabeth K. Prophet, they were gifted with that, knowledge or view to read the Akashic records. All the Sunday masters also have the gift of reading Akashic records. So, what is Akashic records? They are the all our records of all our embodiments. Meaning what? Meaning what we did in each embodiment. What we are doing right now, talking, is being recorded. The feelings are being recorded. The thoughts are being recorded, and of course, the actions are being recorded. They can be recorded means like they are printed, being imprinted in the etheric level on the cosmos, not the planet but the cosmos, and it can be read by people who have the gift of reading those records. So these were the records that were of embodiments, and that we have about El Moria. So first one is Abraham, born in biblical city of Mesopotamia, I think in the Middle East. Second one is Melchior as king of Persia. Melchior was one of the three wise men, who came on the birth of Jesus. Melchior was he was one of the wise men. The other two wise men was Kutumi and Dwal Khul, the three wise men who came on camels and they, you know, guided by the stars, uh, guided by a star, by the way, and was led to Bethlehem where Jesus was born. Number three is the King Arthur of England. You know about that. Thomas Becket of England, Thomas More in England. So he has a few embodiments in England. Then the one more embodiment that we know of is Akbar in India. So I think these are the six embodiments that'll give us a little bit of preview. If you want to know a little bit more about these, please go to TSL Encyclopedia and put the word Almoria in that search column. So that is the little bit of that, his embodiment. I also thought it would be good to know about Almora's embodiment as as Akbar. It's called Akbar the Great. So I think I also copied that from the same source. I like Jay. Can you please display that one? I think that'll be helpful for us to know because we are talking about his embodiment as Akbar the Great, in India. What did he do that in that embodiment that will be helpful for us to really know about our Guru, uh, so we can really when we read this chapter, I think that will help us to really get a greater understanding of what the path is. So Jay, would you mind please reading that?
Sure, sir. Akbar, 1542 to 1605, is honored as the greatest of the Mughal emperors of India and as a father of religious tolerance. He believed he was divinely appointed ruler and that it was his mission to unify his empire. He was an embodiment of the ascended master El Moria. The emperor was born a Muslim but respected Hindu religion and culture and offered Hindus and Muslims alike the highest posts in his government. He assembled scholars of the Muslim and Hindu sects, Jains, Zoroastrians, and Jesuits. In 1582, Akbar founded his own religion, Din-e-Ilahi, which divine faith, or Tawhid-e-Ilahi, divine monotheism, with himself as its spiritual leader. As Abdul Faisal comments, Akbar in establishing the tenets of the new religion seized upon whatever was good in any religion. He is truly a man who makes justice his leader in the path of inquiry and who culls from every sect whatever reason approves of. Sorry. Akbar did not, however, demand that his countrymen espouses his beliefs, and Akbar's new religion had few adherents outside his court. In 1985, El Moria spoke of his embodiment as Akbar and his dream of a universal religion. Beloved sons and daughters, I remember well and I would remind you of my incarnation as Akbar. So Islam, the religion of my birth, Hinduism, the religion of my nation. So, Juxtaposed midst of all this, I did perceive that all religions were found wanting. Therefore, I assembled the representatives of all faiths and sects within the larger religions that they might deliberate, that they might also convince me of their way. I had purpose in my heart to lead each group to the point of the realization of the quintessences of light of child whom I had seen at his birth hundreds of years before. Thus, you see, I came into the office of the Guru through the acceptance and love of those who respected the power and the will of God. They saw within me and my devotion to the integrity and the honor of that will. Thus, all religions were free to practice in the realm, and any were and 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 any were free to be the part of my circle. I bring this to your attention because as you read the life of Akbar, you may find yourself in my family and circle of the court, certainly harking back to the court of Cameliot and the Chelas of the will of God, who have been with me for so many centuries.
Thank you. Thank you, Jay, very much. I think the
Okay,
word Camelot that you just read, Jay just read on the last paragraph, was Camelot that as a King Arthur that that we that is embodiment as one of mentioned embodiment. He was the King Arthur, and he started that round table of Camelot, in that embodiment. I think many things are one thing that comes to my mind from as I was reading his quote, quote from 1985. He gave what what was the role of his life as Akbar uniting all the religions, and he says all the religions are wanting, which we know, in something, and so he unified them. How did he unify now that we are doing now? So he's doing the same thing through this book and through the organization called Summit Lighthouse. He wants to bring us together to a by understanding the I won't say understanding the religions individually, but really unifying through the what we call is a top down. Top down is a spirituality. Spirituality, if you understand the spirituality, who we really are, and as he says that, and then we from that we look down to the one tier below. The religions are there, we can say that we are going from religions up one notch up, or we can say that we are coming down from spirituality one notch down, and say that how they are integrated, how the religions are integrated horizontally, and when they become together horizontally integration, and how they are become one with the top as a spirituality. So I think that is the purpose of our meeting. So we can really the sometimes I call it narrow-mindedness, of religion. Sometimes we get caught into that, and we just look only things the way we have been taught by our early childhood, not only in this embodiment, but also in the right from the previous embodiment, right from the early childhood, and we kind of follow that. And so one thing that and also another thing from the screen is the paragraph, second paragraph from the bottom. uh, Thus, you see, I came into the office of Guru with a capital G. Capital G. What is office of Guru with a capital G? So that is something. The office of Guru is really the office of Guru for all of us. Is really our I am presence. We call it Aham Brahmasmi. We call it Om Tat Sat Om. That is a Guru, which I am that I am. We call it also by different names. So that is the guru that I think with a capital G, we can look at it that way also, that we are. So he's guiding us. An office of guru is only one. There's not too many offices, because I am presence is one. We call it a greater I am presence, which is a greater I am presence from that we all are part of that from the great central sun, we call it, and then the individualized I am presence, individual guru in us, that we call it. Because the vibration of the guru, whether it's individualized or it is from the great central sun, heart of every Sunday master combined, what called the great white brotherhood, is the same vibration of the capital G Guru. So that is something that we want to be talking about. Jay, my friend, can we go back to now? I think we like to let me go. Let's go back and see if like to welcome if anyone else has joined. Then we begin our book. Radha Krishnan ji, welcome, my friend. See anyone else. I think that's all we have. So, all right, let's have that book on chapter 2 on the screen. What we will be doing today, as we did last time. Like, if you feel comfortable, you can uh, you can raise your hand in the uh, chat room, with your the symbol of hand there, and like to read a paragraph. I think, or maybe I'll tell you what to read. But before we do that, uh, I think we'll take turns. Then when that is done, then I have some questions. I have some questions that will all put on ask us together those questions. What are the answer to one each question, and then see how we deliberate. That is meaning of book study group. So we can all get engaged in reading, and it's also answering questions. I think that will be richer in in coming to resolution. So let's see the first paragraph. Jay, how would you how would you like to how would you like to read the first paragraph, and then maybe if you have anything that you have highlighted that in the first paragraph, maybe
Okay.
you
Okay,
can
sir.
explain that, please. Yeah, please
Okay,
go
sure.
ahead.
Yeah. Chapter 2, Chelas of East and West. The thought form for the year 1975 released by the Lord of the World, Gautama Buddha, on New Year's Eve is a lodestone of the mind of God, a multifaceted jewel focusing the flame of mind of God, a gem that is not of this world, nor does it bear resemblance to the crystals of this plane. In the center of the jewel is the flame of the mind of God. This jewel is anchored in the etheric plane of the planet at the retreat at Shambhala, and the fire of God's mind focused therein will be for the quickening of the consciousness of mankind in the way of truth and the restoration of balance of vision, infusing the mind with that love that enables life to impart genesis of the logos.
Okay, let me allow me to really why the word 1975. What is 1975? This book was written in 1975. uh, I think so. What is a thought form? Thought form is another word that is Gautama Buddha at Shambhala. You see the word Shambhala also. Shambhala is where Gautama Buddha's retreat is, right, in the etheric plane. And then from where Gautama Buddha is who's Gautama Buddha? Gautama Buddha is called the master or the ascended master or the lord of the world, or the planet Earth. He's the one who was given the responsibility or the torch by Sanat Kumara, at the time when Sanat Kumara left and went back to Venus, and he passed the torch, we call it, to Gautama Buddha, and Gautama Buddha holds that torch. Now, so the the thought form is given every year by Gautama Buddha when the messenger, the Mark Prophet and Elizabeth K. Prophet were alive. Every year at the on the December 31st midnight, Gautama Buddha will release a thought form. His angel will bring to him the thought form. This might be something new for you to hear, but that thought form, when he would explain the meaning of the thought form, it's like a vision. It's like what is the vision for this particular year. Every year has a vision or a roadmap, you can say that, or a blueprint, and that so they be all part of that blueprint, how to manifest that. So that is the one that is the meaning of the thought form. So this is a multifaceted jewel focusing the flame of mind of God. So I think that's what Jay. What would you like to say about the highlighted portion that you have?
Sir, I just want to say that, and the fire of God's mind focused therein will be for the quickening of the consciousness of mankind in the way of truth and the restoration of balance of vision infusing the mind that will with that love that enables life to impart genesis of the logos. Basically, I understood from this portion is this that the more focus we have on our threefold flame, the more focus we have, uh, uh, we will start uh, visioning. We will have a vision with what God wants us to do, and we will move in the right path and right direction to fulfill that vision. So, whenever we do decrease or whenever we pray, we should focus in our heart and focus the threefold flame so that we have the fire of God's mind, so that we can really establish the connection between with our higher self.
Good. Thank you, Jay. Um,
Welcome, sir.
the, the what my understanding is also, I want to add to what Jay said. Also, from this paragraph is that the threefold flame, as Jay mentioned, when we have the balance on threefold flame, how does it help us to tune with the mind of God? What is the mind of God, and threefold flame? How does it connect with that? The three-fold flame, when we do not, a lot of people do not know that. I did not know that we have a three-fold flame, by the way, before I joined the teachings of the Ascended Masters. So that was something, a new revelation of three-fold flame of love, wisdom, and power. And that is really the key to our identity. That is gave us to the, some people ask me, that is the connection. I think we use the word connection with the great I am. I already talked about the individualized I am and the great I am. So that is the connection of through our three-fold flame to our individualized I am through the higher self in the middle picture, and then from there to the great I am of the great central sun. So the will of God, mind of God, we're talking about is really more. We become more attuned with the mind of God or will of God. Will of God is really when we are at nine with the threefold flame, when we have a balance of love, more wisdom, more power, and they are in balance. The threefold flame begins to increase in size. It begins to increase in size, then it begins to rotate, becomes to move clockwise direction, spin. You can call it word spinning, and then so those are the signs of when it begins to spin. That means now we are really becoming attuned with uh, that thread of contact. We call it the crystal cord, and it becomes more like a thread that brings the vibration of the I am that we have individualized I am into our mind. We're talking about focusing the mind of God, the will of God. And that's where the will of God is. All the saints have done that, but we did not know that this is the one of the way, threefold flame was the way really that really magnetized the energies from the crystal clear, we call it, clear mind of God into our heart. So the word infusing the mind of with the love that I'm looking at the highlighted portion of J on the first page, bottom two lines. The vision infusing the mind with the love that enables life to impart a gnosis of logos. What is the gnosis of logos? You might be thinking of that too. No, logos is the logos. J, can you can you explain the meaning of logos, or maybe you can look into the? I would not like to give my interpretation, but maybe, yeah. Thank you. What is logos? Can you read that?
Theology, the word of God or the principle of divine reason and creative order identified in the Gospel of John with the second person of the Trinity incarnate in Jesus Christ.
Uh-huh. Number
The
two.
principle of reason and judgment associated with the animus, often contrasted with eros, origin Greek word reason.
So, word of God. That is the first one I'm reading. That the word of God or principles. So, logos is a what we have been told by the ascended master, that there is a the logos. You can look at that. Well, I'm just giving you one interpretation. When the God created the world, and one of the things was the spoken word, let there be light. So that's the logos, how you can call it. There's an important science of creation through the logos, we call it logos. So that is what we are talking about, is the gnosis. No, what is the meaning of gnosis, uh, J? This one, yeah.
Knowledge of spiritual mysteries and relating to knowledge, especially historic mystical knowledge.
Knowledge. So gnosis means knowledge of logos. So please know that this is something to make note of that. No, logos is why we do degrees also. Science of the spoken word, you can look at it that way. A lot of times we have the mantras in India, people do that. That's why Master knew that it's ancient science, logos. So, so that's why we do the degrees. That's why one of the biggest uh, hallmark of Summit Lighthouse is the decrease. How we become the co-creators with God, as a Brahma we call it, through the application of the science of the spoken word. So that's my take on that one. Okay, any volunteers for the second uh, next paragraph? Do we have any?
If you want to speak, you may raise your hand.
Anyone? Otherwise, one,
If
two,
no one,
three. Anyone? Otherwise, I'll
if no one, then
see
I can
someone.
continue reading.
Yeah,
Sir,
please,
मैं
please,
पढ़
please
लूं?
do it.
Yeah,
हाँ जी,
sure.
हाँ पढ़िए आप.
The seven holy Kumaras, lords of flame from Venus, are the sponsors of mankind's mental developments. Over the thousands of years of Earth's history, they have come forward at certain auspicious moments to raise the energies of consciousness, to accelerate the action of the Christ mind, to mm, polarize mankind energies in the upper chakras. Thus, the anchoring in all who will make call of the jewel replica of the mind of God at the etheric level between the pineal and the pituitary
Pichori.
glands is for the activation of the flame of the logos to further enhance the initiations of a planet and a people on the path of hierarchy. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you. Jay, what is your comment on the seven holy Kumara that you highlighted?
Sorry, I highlighted this because it was some new information for me. So because I always heard for like Lady Venus. I didn't know that there were lots of flame from Venus also. So and when I looked up this on the TSN encyclopedia, it said the higher initiates of the Brotherhood are also known as the Lords of the Flame. So that's why I highlighted it, because it was something new for me.
Mhm. Thank you. Thank you. I think it's also was a new information for me when I joined the Summit Lighthouse activity. There are seven holy Kumaras, we call them. I think Saptarishi, we call them Saptarishi in India. So they are Sanat Kumara and his six brothers. There are seven holy Kumaras, we call them. So they came from Venus also with the Sanat. They came from
Sir,
Venus at the
one,
time of when
I want to
things.
interrupt for a second. The Holy Kumaras are different here. I read on the encyclopedia, Lords of the Flame are different, I think, if I am correct.
Yeah, okay. Seven holy Kumaras, Lords of the Flame from Venus.
मैं
What
भी
you are saying
ये
is
वाली थी।
what you are saying is Lords of the Flame, right?
The Lords of the Flame are the higher initiates of the Brotherhood, of the Great White Brotherhood, and they are from Venus. So they're different.
Okay.
They're different masters, and Holy Kumaras are different masters.
Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely true. Thank you. Thank
Welcome.
you. Okay. I think we like to continue because I think we have some question that will leave us. If from that will give us some more time. I think I'm like to continue on that. So let's any volunteers for this? You want to read that, Jay, also, or any volunteers you have?
Yes, sir, I can read it. If nobody is raising the hand, I can read it.
Mhm.
Okay, then I think I should read it. Just as there are many would-be chelas in the world, so there are many who could be chelas who know nothing of the path of the chela or the chela of chelaship. There are still others who, for lack of outer contact with our representatives, walk the earth as chelas, yet know not that they are as chelas, or nor that they have our guidance on the path. What then is chelaship?
Mhm.
Chela,
Very good. I think now we are. Yeah, just go ahead.
chela, chela is a term meaning student or disciple of a religious teacher. It is derived from the Hindi sila, which is taken from the Sanskrit sila, meaning slave. In the Eastern tradition of chelaship, recognized for thousands of years as the way of self-mastery and enlightenment, one desiring to have the mysteries of the universal law imparted to him applies to the teacher, known as the guru, considered to be a master through the ages. The real gurus have included both ascended and unascended master bracket close to serve that teacher until he is found worthy to receive the keys of his own inner reality.
Hmm. Any comments on it, Jay?
Sir, uh, if I say that here, if you see the first line, there are many would-be chelas in the world who, so there are many who could be chelas who know nothing on the path of chelaship. So who could be chelas means this can be divided into two categories. One who are chelas but they don't know about the Great White Brotherhood, they don't know about the masters, and there are other part of people who are eligible to be chela because of their karma, but they are not into the practice of religion, practice of spirituality, and they are not focusing on prayers, and they are entangled in their own world. So they could be chelas who can come later part of their life to any representative of the Great White Brotherhood. So that's the first three lines which have a very strong meaning. And then if we see the third last line, they say, walk the earth as chelas, yet know not that they are as chelas, nor they have our guidance on the path. What then is chelaship? So this is a very strong question, and we should really think about it. Then what is chelaship if they don't know about our path? So for those who are like in India, chela is a very common word. We have been using this word in our vocabulary for a very long time in a very different ways. But for somebody who is coming from West might not know what chela is. Chela means student. It means student of a guru, dedicated to one guru. And what I've highlighted is this, that in the Eastern tradition of Chelaship, recognized for thousands of years as the way of self-mastery and enlightenment, one desiring to have the mysteries of universal law imparted to him. If we go back to our medieval times, we have seen a lot of Guru Chela relationships, and one of them is very famous between Guru Nanak and Mardana, which was considered to be one of the strongest relationship in the recent years. And then if you go more behind, you will see Ram and Hanuman, which is also a symbol of Guru Chela relationship. So if somebody wants to study the life of Hanumanji and Ramji, they can understand what a Guru and Chela means. That's one of the most high Guru Chela relationship we might study in our lives. So this is from my side. If you want to say something, you want to add something on this? It's
Yeah. Anyone? Anyone wants to say? Yeah. Okay. Kathleen raised her hand. Kathleen.
I thought it was interesting that the sentence says when the person applies to the teacher known as the guru. So what a chela does is we don't choose to be a chela. We apply to be a teacher, a chela, and then we may or may not be accepted by the teacher, the guru. I thought that was interesting that we don't make ourselves to be the chela. We don't presume that we are a chela. We don't say that we are a chela. It depends if we are accepted by the teacher to be the chela of the teacher. Because we can be rejected or accepted by the teacher.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Kathleen. On that note, I also know that there's a book called The Master and the Path by Theosophical Society, was written by that, and they said that before there is something called probationary period. When a chela applies to become accepted by the guru, the guru puts him on a probation for a certain time, and then so that like a lot of companies do that, a lot of corporations do that all over the world. When a new employees come, they give him opportunity to prove himself. So I think that is a way to both. I think that what applies because I think what Jay read earlier, could be and would be. You know, I think could be chela. I think that's what it that can be applied. So that is very important. Important comment that you made. Yeah, thank you. Jay, uh,
Yes, sir.
do you have any other volunteer to read the next paragraph?
If somebody raises the hand, then I can unmute them, or if we want me to continue reading, I can continue reading.
Yeah, you could be always as a backup, or I could be sometime, and Poonam could be also there. But if anyone else from the group, like to give them the opportunity also.
Okay. I think no one is raising their hand right now. So, do you want me to continue, sir?
Yeah, please do that.
Okay. The great Yogi Milarepa endured many hardships on the path, including the unlearning of the false teachings of the Dark Ones, who imparted to him a knowledge of the manipulation of energy. Thus, he had to overcome the practice of black magic and to balance the karma of his misdeeds, whereby he had whereby he had wreaked vengeance upon his neighbors who had deprived him from his patrimony, first causing the death of many, and then hailstorm which destroyed the fields of barley ripe for the harvest. When he finally earned the right to be the chela of a true master, his pride had been broken, and in humility he walked the way of attainment. In the Eastern tradition, the chela is the slave of his master for a good reason, not for the loss of his true identity, but for the replacement of the pseudo image with the real image of selfhood. The chela, by submission, day by day, is weaving into consciousness the threads of the garment of his master. The master's garment, bracket open, as the much sought robe of the Christ, bracket close, is synonymous with the master's consciousness.
Ah, there's much more to say about Milarepa. I think Milarepa, I think is a Tibetan. He's a Sunday master, by the way. Milarepa is now an Sunday master. But when he was in that in that place where we are today, and I think what Kathleen said, he was also uh, he was accepted by the his guru, but his guru put him, asked him to build a house, I think 4 times, and then every time he will build a house, and he was destroyed because Milarepa had to practice black magic upon when before he was accepted by the guru. So his guru wanted him to balance his karma that he had made by using black magic practices. We call it manipulation of energy. That manipulation of energy that Jay has highlighted that. So we cannot manipulate the energies, which is called black magic. So we have to use the energy of God that comes to us through logos. We talked about that. Also through thoughts, in our feelings, how we use it to uh, in unison with the mind of God. That was the theme that we are trying to focus, the threefold flame that we read earlier. So when we have balanced threefold flame, then we do not manipulate the energies through black magic, and we use the mind of God as will of God, and that's one way to balance the karma. So I think that was the. So I think the Jay, I'll pass the torch to you. What you want to say? Please go ahead.
Sir, Milarepa's story is very inspiring because he is a Tibetan master, and how he if I didn't know much about Milarepa until I saw the movie on the YouTube of Milarepa. The name of the movie is Milarepa. I read about Milarepa, and then I saw the movie on YouTube about Milarepa, and I realized what he did, and then what what he was and how he changed himself by obeying his guru, and how many times he made the house and he has to break it again. Sometimes might have to burn it also. So when we are on the path of chelaship, we surrender ourselves to the guru. We do not question the guru what he is asking or she is asking from us. That's why if you go to the second paragraph, it says uh, the chela is a slave of his master for good reason, because we might not understand the reason behind what guru is asking, but guru knows what is required for a spiritual attainment. So I feel that it the word the slave here has a positive meaning instead of a negative meaning.
Absolutely. The word slave, I think I think next couple of paragraphs they're talking about the word slave. What the word slave means to the Western mind or Eastern mind or a new Chela mind, or because slave is people kind of perceive it in a different way, But so I think the next, yeah, you want to say something on that, Jay, about that, or should we move on to the next
Sir,
paragraph?
I think if we move on, we will open up new ideas. So I think if somebody else wants to read, they can raise their hand.
Okay. Okay, Kathleen.
Okay.
In return for illumined obedience and self-sacrificing love, the Chela receives increments of the Master's attainment, of the Master's own realization of his real self. Through the acceptance of the word of the Master as inviolate, the Chela has imparted to him the Christ consciousness of his Master, which in turn is the means whereby the base elements of the Chela's subconscious and the momentums of his untransmuted karma are melted by the fervent heat of the sacred fire which comprises the Master's consciousness. Thus, by freely and willingly setting aside the momentums of his human, that's all I can see on the page.
Can you say next, Jay, on the page?
So it's already turned. Can't you? Is it from
Of
here?
his
Consciousness.
The Chela discovers that these are soon replaced by his teacher's mastery, which, when he makes it his own, serves as the magnet to magnetize his own higher consciousness and attainment.
Thank you. Any comments on that, Kathleen? Or what you just read?
No comment.
Anything?
No comment. No.
Yeah, Jay. What? I think he's trying to say something. And Moria, when you were reading, what did come out to you?
Sir, if I the most touching lines were through the acceptance of the word of the master as inviolate, the Chela has imparted to him the Christ consciousness of his master, which in turn is the means whereby the base elements of the Chela's subconscious and the momentum of his untransmuted karma are melted by the fervent heat of the sacred fire, which comprises the master's consciousness. So what he's trying to say is that sometimes master will take the karma of the Chela to give him to purge him to a next level, because master understand that the Chela has potential, and then the karma is dissolved by the master, and the consciousness of the master and the subconsciousness of the Chela are matched to a level so that they can work upon the Chela Chela can understand what master is doing for him or her.
And there's a figure 8 flow between the Chela and the master. The figure 8 flow, where in the very first sentence it says, in return for illumined obedience and self-sacrificing love, the Chela receives increments. So there's a give and take, there's a back and forth, there's a figure 8 flow from the Chela to the master and from the master to the Chela, and it's ongoing. So we receive something in return for our obedience and obeisance and self-sacrificing love that we give to the master. There's a return that we receive from the master.
Yes, thank you, and thank you, Jay, and thank you, Kathleen. I think you mentioned correctly the illumined obedience. Illumined, it's not just as obedience. Illumined obedience is different than obedience or forcing a forceful obedience or
No.
mandatory obedience or or obedience with grudgingness. I do not like the master. So illumined means what? Threefold flame. That is what we are talking when we started our journey. So our threefold flame, the yellow plume is the plume of understanding of why I should be. In the case of Medaripa, let's talk about that. Yes, Medaripa, he built his house, first house, second house, third house, and then someone guru comes and says, no, no good. Uh, he got to start all over again, tear it down. And so where does illuminate where does so illuminate how did he what was going through the Milaripa's mind at that time in terms of illumination of obedience? I think then the next thing, the self-sacrificing love. So that is the other answer to that. We cannot have the illumined obedience until we have this self-sacrificing, not love, self-sacrificing. Why I'm right and why I'm not right, and he says, okay, I have to let go, even though I think I'm right. So that is illumination. The love gives us the understanding of illumined understanding of obedience. I think that was the, and then he receives the increments. I think the word is it is not. So it's not Guru. Guru knows he cannot give him everything. Although Guru wants to give the Chela in everything at the same time, but he said no. If I give him too much, I think that he will not be able to take the next step. Of that. So I think it's a very deep. Very deep thought and what it says there, and also the second paragraph that we talked about that. So
And
anything
also,
else? Other? Please go
the
ahead.
word illumined obedience implies that we choose freely of our own free will. We're not ignorant robots. We're not like a robot that just, the master says, jump over the mountain. We don't just do it because the master says it. We do it because we have understanding. We're not robots.
Very
when you
good.
become a chief, you're not an ignorant robot, and you're not just repeating prayers by rote and behaving like somebody who doesn't think with their own mind. The master allows us to think with our own mind, and so that we can make an illumined decision about what we're doing.
Absolutely. And I think that is something, probably something that we can take as something from this paragraph that probably will be helping us as we move forward to this chapter and the subsequent chapters. Jay, are we ready for the next paragraph?
Sir, if somebody wants to read, or would you like to read, sir?
Yeah, I was hoping that maybe if there's no one else, I will be happy to. Yeah. Okay. Those who have observed this process have remarked in their ignorance that the chelas of the ascended master or of the unascended masters are ascended masters or ascended master or unascended masters are somehow hypnotized or duped or perhaps even controlled like robots. They have not understood the path of surrender. They have not perceived the path as the short cut to the enlightenment and that freedom which they still seek in the world, knowing not that the world can never impart to them the freedom and the enlightenment of their souls desiring. I'll read the next paragraph because they're connected. Thus, one man's bondage is another man's freedom. One man's freedom is another man's bondage. In truth, all mankind are prisoners of their own karma, and all mankind are liberated through their own karma. This means that the causes which mankind have set in motion in previous embodiments produce the effects that reverberate in the world of today from the personal to the planetary level, and that which seems to be happenstance of the configurations of astrology all have but one source, past actions coming full circle according to the law of cycles. I think there's much more here that is to be pondered upon. I think the question that comes like, Jay, what is the meaning? Would you like to say something about the highlighted portion, the first paragraph that I
So,
read?
sir, I think we have already discussed that, like control like robots. So,
Yeah, right.
robots, we already discussed that. I think you wanted to know the meaning of this word.
Happenstance.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that, yeah. What is the meaning of happenstance?
Coincidence.
Happens coincidence. Okay. Yeah, so happenstance is better. Happenstance means coincidence. Um, I think I'm going to reread this from the word this this means that the causes which mankind have set in motion in previous embodiments produce the effects that reverberate in the world of today from the personal to the planetary level, and that which seems to be happenstance or the configuration of astrology, all have but one source, past action, coming full circle according to the law of cycles. What Almoria is saying is our human mind, what it sings today, it says on the paragraph above, but nothing is happenstance or coincidence. A lot of times we do not know that because ignorance, but we call it, oh, it's happened because it was, so there is a definite the word, the law of cycles. It's a whole new chapter about the cycles. Everything happens in cycles and energy flow of cycles, according to astrology and karma. Those are the two words that are called. So it's not happenstance. I think that goes. And the other part that he's saying is whatever we do, and that is on the above sentence before that, it affects not only personal per, life of the person, but also at the planetary level is connected because all the energy is connected with everyone at the planetary level. So those are the 2 points that I think are very important for us to know that nothing is happenstance and that we have a cosmic uh, accountability. I'm using that word, accountability, to know that uh, how useful how useful we could be when we know the law that we are talking about in this, of who we really are and what we have discussed so far about the logos and thoughts and accountability and connectivity and I think we are not we are not robots. There is loving that we talked about, sacrifice and illumined obedience and all that words. They are very much deeply connected to be accepted by the Guru, so the Guru can transfer his light and take our karma and help us to come up higher, step by step, increment by increment. Anything else that I have missed? Anyone wants to add to that?
Not from my side.
Okay, let's go to the next two paragraphs. Who would like to do that? Poonam? Hello?
So she has to unmute herself.
Okay. Would you like to read that, Jay?
Okay, sir. The true teacher teaches the Chela how to come to grips with his karma, past, present, and future. He shows him how to study the law of causation in his own life and to trace undesirable conditions of the present to the core of past actions and interactions with individuals, family members, and the world at large. Thus, the reactions of the past produce the ramifications of the present. And the step by step, the Chela is taught to withdraw from the fabric of consciousness the blackened threads of unwise sowings of the past, that he might reap a more abundant harvest in the karma of the future. To do this, the Chela must transcend the former state of consciousness, else he will repeat the same mistake. To transcend the state, to transcend that state, he must break through the paper bag of his own finite awareness, the cul-de-sac of mortal reasons in which he has been floundering for centuries of incarnations. Thus, when the pupil is ready for the breakthrough, the teacher appears. Yeah.
Yeah, there's quite a bit here to really process. I think uh, the word paper bag. You notice that? Why he say must break the bag, paper bag? So he did not say. I think there there is purpose behind it because we create something as concrete. So I cannot get out of this thing. Is it because it's so difficult or whatever the reason we give? As a our justification or excuse. So you can break that paper bag. Second word that come to my mind is must transcend. Yeah, you put it there, must. So it's not transcend only. It's otherwise the group may or may not accept the chela because he knows if the guru knows that chela can go back if he doesn't transcend that state of consciousness. He can go back and fall back and always be there. And if I may say that, the guru may not want to spend or waste, even say that waste his energies with someone like that, with the former state of consciousness, he calls it. So there is a word cul-de-sac. I looked into that. Cul-de-sac is a one-way street. Like so it's a one-way street is like a block, they cannot go. So Guru said, the Chela is not willing to go through this one. It's finite consciousness. You cannot work with the Chela like that. So these are some of the things that stood in my mind. What about you, Jay?
So, one of the first line, the true teacher teaches the Chela how to come to grips with his karma, past, present, and future. We have know that we have karma in the past, but karma in the future is coming. We might not know in future what is coming. We know about our past, what happened in this life. We may not understand what happened in our previous incarnations. So the teacher really helps us to identify what are our major uh, setbacks in this life to come through to a certain level. Also, to do this, Chela must transcend. So must transcend means the transition can only be done by the Chela. If Chela is resisting to get to change, master cannot do anything because masters do not interfere in the free will. So that's why it says must transcend. Chela must transcend. So it's a very important teaching that masters will not interfere in the free will, and Chela has to do it by all means by himself or herself.
Mhm. Yes. Anything else? The last sentence. When people is ready.
So this is, I think you have already have
Okay.
put some light on it, so I won't say anything on that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Any comment from anyone on this paragraphs? Okay. Let's move on to the, I think, last page. We have 2 pages, I think. Next chapter. Yeah.
Yeah. So
This is very important what Kuthumi says. I think this is another masterpiece. I think it's connected with what we have discussed so far.
anybody who would like to read may raise their hand so that we can unmute you and you can read the paragraphs. Okay. Sir, would you like to read, or would you want me to read? Or Poonam
Yeah.
can read. Is Poonam around?
Yep. Yeah. I don't know. Is Poonam around?
Okay, so I think I can read then.
Okay.
The master Kutumi once wrote to a would-be chela about forcing the master to receive him. For, you see, by cosmic law, the ascended masters must take on as their chelas those who move and act in conformity with the will of God on the path of self-discipline and self-immolation. When the chela, by unflinching services, shows himself to be indeed a slave of the diamond shining mind of God, is if refusing to bow down to the other idols of lesser selfhood, he finds himself standing face to face with either an ascended or unascended master of the Great White Brotherhood, or one of our embodied representatives who will provide him with a certain teachings and practical steps to attain the goal of reunion, whereby the outer consciousness meshes with the inner consciousness and the soul expresses the full potential of its innate godhood. As is often the case, the ascended masters remain behind the veil, which means simply that because of lack of surrender or lack of development in the chela, they retain a certain anonymity and prefer to remain elusive to to the outer consciousness, almost playing hide and seek with the chela. And this is a means of keeping the chela in hot pursuit of the guru. For, for it is striving, the intense striving for the oneness that is the mark of the overcomer.
Hmm. So anything that comes to anyone's mind, or that what Kuthumi once wrote, to be a would-be chela. This is, to me. Let me make a comment. How would you how would a chela forces the master to receive him? I think we talked about that. How would you force the as you talked about earlier, second line on the left, uh, paragraph, for you see, by cosmic law, the ascended master must take on as their chela those who move and act to conformity with the will of God on the path of self-discipline and self-immolation. See, this is something I think the Chela can force a Guru Mother talked about that. The messenger talked about that. So that is very important thing, the determination, but also the Guru looks at the Chela, if it is a worthwhile investment. The Guru has access to the Chela's previous life embodiments, also previous karma, how the Chela performed in the previous life and where he made mistake or where he's wanted have more mastery in that in those parts. So that's where the guru knows the chela's uh, full spectrum of life. uh, so I think that's what we are talking about, how through the determination and the love. So the guru knows the weaknesses of the chela, the shortcomings, I should say, that of the chela, and he's willing to sponsor him or take him on. Can you go back to the where we were, Jay? Yeah. Here, yeah. Anything else? You want to comment on that? We should move on to the next one.
I just I just uh, I just want to say that I felt this is important, refusing to bow down to other idols of lesser selfhood. He finds himself standing face to face with either of with faced with either an ascended or ascended master of a great brotherhood, or one of our embodied representative who will provide him with certain teachings and practical steps. Uh, Most of the times, we will see that we receive a lot of knowledge from a lot of people, and sometimes we tend to get carried away with the fact that what the other person is giving is true, or may be right or may not be right. The only way to understand this is by going into the heart and thinking about it with the mind of God and not with the mind of our own. So once we go into the heart and pray to our threefold flame and think about it, we will we will get the answers of the knowledge we are receiving. So and then if it's we feel if our heart says no, this knowledge may not be true, that means we are on the right or may be true. So that effort which we make to go the practice of going to the heart every time to see what is right and what is wrong will make us more will make us more connected to our threefold flame and to our higher self, and that will help us to grow in future. The more we do that, the more practice we do going in front of our threefold flame, the more seasoned we become in understanding what God wants from us.
Yes, if I may add to that also, that going to the threefold flame, going to the heart, also the way I see that is examination, self-examination, not critically, not judging ourselves, but examining ourselves, self-assessment. I call it self-assessment and self-examination. What I heard, what is, and that is when we are at that place in the heart, threefold flame, neutral place. We call it, in the heart we call it threefold flame. Then we receive the answers at that time. So we are the Guru Ma or the messenger has talked that the circle of oneness. We jump inside the circle of oneness, which is threefold flame, with our Guru, the secret chamber of the heart, we call it also, where there is all just peace and God abides there, and the threefold flame is connected with our high self, So we are at the rightful place. Call it upper room also, in the Bible, upper room or threefold flame or inner secret chamber of the heart, or we call it in Punjabi Sachkhand. Sachkhand was in Nirankar, we call it that way. So that's my take on it.
Okay, sir.
Okay, next one.
Yeah.
Anything?
No, sir. I think I had to what I had to say. I said.
Okay. Next paragraph. Next two
Somebody wants.
paragraphs.
Uh, sir, would you like to read?
Hmm. Yeah, I'm here. Should I?
Yes, sir. Please. Thank you.
I can read two paragraphs, then. Throughout the ages, those disciples who have been willing to submit totally in the ritual that is known as the submission unto love have made the most rapid strides, and sometimes in a single lifetime have balanced enough karma to secure the nirvanic union, which we prefer to call the ascension in the light. Such a one was John the Beloved, who through love rose above the 12 and was the only disciple to attain the ascension at the close of the Galilean mission. As you meditate upon your place, on as you listen me, as you meditate upon your place, upon the path, upon the circumstances of your life, what you are, what you desire to be, where you are, and where you desire to be. Consider that love is the fulfilling of the law of the path of Chelaship. And if you would enter that path as the shortcut to self awareness, You must be fearless in your acceptance of this word. Quote, he who seeks to save his life shall lose it, but but he who loses his life for his sake, for my sake, shall find it. Unquote. Wow. So I think it says it very clearly. What it sends it to me that only Jesus has 12 disciples, and only John the Beloved made his ascension in that life, because the reason of the love that that we talked about so far. He had he had that he had what he examined, going to the heart and examining, and what we talked about so far. He took that. He made strides, big jumps. He made big progress in that life. Next one. Anything else here otherwise?
I don't have to add. I think it's very clear here, so I don't want to add
Yeah,
anything.
yeah, very simple. Yeah, okay. Anyone like to read the next two paragraphs?
So can I?
Yes, please go ahead.
As as you meditate upon your
No, not that one.
place.
As he who.
Okay. सर मुझे आगे का दिखाई नहीं दे रहा खाली he.
He's going to turn the page.
Okay. He who spoke these words he who spoke these words serves today with the Master Kutumi in the office of word teacher. He is a teacher who has thousands of followers, some devotees, some disciples, but in the strictest sense of the word, the Chela of Jesus Christ are few and far between. For a lack of love and for a lack of lying down one's life for one's friend. Those who are would-be chelas of the Christ, those who could be, fall short of the mark of this high calling. From the temple of the God's will, high in the Himalayas, there is the sounding of the ancient bell. It is to the humble the word around, to the servant of the will of God, and to the event great who would carry civilization forward into a new age. Moria summons Chela of the sacred fire, who would become adepts, followers, who would become friends of Christ, ex- exponents of the word of living truth, imitators of the master, and finally the heart, head, and hand of our cosmic retinue. Sir, pura
Yeah. Let's complete. Yeah.
we seek planetary alignment. We seek to overshadow, to become one with, to work through, ye to put pour the essence of our selfhood into hearts uplifted, the chalice of consciousness raised on high. We demand the all of those to whom we would give our all. The questions is are you ready to exchange your lesser self for our greater self? The path that offers much requires much, as you say in the word, yet get yet get what you pay for. The price is high, but then you are purchasing the ultimate reality. I am guru of many chelas and chela of the one guru, Moria.
Wow. Thank you. Any comment on that, Poonam, that you just read? Anything that?
सर नहीं आप बताओ मैं मतलब not binary.
Yeah. The question is, are you ready to exchange your next page? Yeah. Are you? I'm reading that Almoria's question on the uh, second paragraph from the right before it ends. The question is, are you ready to exchange your lesser self for our greater self? That is a question for each one of us to ponder upon. Yeah, that's why I'm not looking for an answer from anyone, but I think that's the question from Master Moria to all of us. Are we ready? Am I ready? You can say that way also, Yeah. So I think that is something very important. Let's put this question to her. If anyone wants to say that, you do not have to say that if you don't feel like comfortable. But I think that will be something when you go to bed tonight. You want to really ask Moria what you read tonight. Whatever stays with you. I think if you want to make any comment in general about that question or anything else that you want to share, please do right now. You're most welcome to like to see what comes to your mind or what comes to your heart.
Poonam, you can mute the members who have raised their hands, please. Okay, let me do it. Jitendra JP sir.
From the temple of God's will, high in the Himalaya, there is something of the great ancient well that is called to be humble the world around. I want to know what that bell is.
From the temple, okay. From the temple of God's will, high in the Himalayas, there is the sounding of the ancient bell. Okay. It is called the humble. It is called to humble the world around to the servants of the will of God. You all want to know what is the meaning of the Himalayan? There is a sounding of the ancient bell.
Bell.
That's the question. What is the ancient bell sounding? Right? Am I correct?
100%.
Yeah. What he's saying to me, I think maybe Jay or anyone else can please add whatever comes to your mind. I think in the beginning, when we were created pure with the will of God. Particularly, we were all in obedience with the will of God. So that bell, that sound is still there. The bell is still ringing there in the will of God, the sound. We don't hear that because we have stepped out of this will of God because of the karma that we have made knowingly or unknowingly, consciously or unconsciously, lifetime after lifetime. So he's saying, please open up your ears and heart so you can align yourself to will of God, and He will help us to do that. Listen, the Himalayan temple of that, and I think the temple is in the Himalayan mountain is Darjeeling. You can say that. Also, Shiva's temple. You can say that is Himalayan. Many retreats of the Master. Lord Maitreya's retreat is there. Kutumi's retreat is there. So they all. Yeah, Jay, go ahead.
No, sir, I'm saying if somebody wants to speak, they can just raise your hand and we will unmute them. We won't unmute anybody without their consent. So they have to raise their hand.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I thought you wanted to add something to what I was saying. So I was saying
No,
I'm saying that is a bell, that is a sound. You can say that if I may say that one more word is the sound of the Om. Om. Sound of the Om is a bell sound. So though we go to the temple, we chant the word Om, but behind that sound there is a soundless sound, and that is the sound that Almora is talking about. We know that our soul recognizes that or would recognize that. That's my understanding. JP Sahab.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Kathleen?
Can I talk about just quickly two embodiments of El Moria that he showed what the Chela, who is becoming the guru. He was Thomas More. He was Thomas Becket. And he showed his obedience, his submission unto love, which was in the previous paragraph, he showed that submission unto the will of God by staying in the Canterbury Cathedral when the soldiers came to murder him there. He didn't try to escape. He stayed there, submissive to his understanding of the will of God. And then in his next embodiment, El Moria came as Thomas More. And Thomas More again showed the same submission unto the love of God. And he was put in the Tower of London by the king. And he went to his death on the scaffold, and he was beheaded because he was submitting to the will of God as the Chela. And it's the story of El Moria's life again and again with his embodiments is that he always submits to the will of God, and then he advances to become the ultimate guru, because each time he was the Chela submitting to the will of God. That's the example that he gives us. I just wanted to talk about that and just say that, he shows us how a Chela behaves. He gives us the example of what the Chela is, and then he becomes the ultimate guru because he was the ultimate Chela.
Thank you, Kathleen. This is the last line just before looking at page. Last line about his name, Moria. I am a guru of many chelas, and because he first became, he was a chela of, and then he became the chela of the one guru. I think that there's a meaning right there. What you were just saying, Kathleen, right here, also built into that last sentence of that. I am a guru of many chelas and a chela of one guru. Of I am will of, so he's calling the guru with a capital G, will of God. That's my understanding, is that guru of the will of God.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a seal of the will of God. Then he teaches us how to become the will, as a guru of the will of, teach us to how we can become like him as the will of God. We should follow that. Very good, very nicely said that here. Yeah, thank you. Any other comments, questions?
So nobody else has, nobody has raised their hand, so I think we can move forward.
Okay, I was hoping that we can do that decree will should surrender to the will of God, one, and then we can close it. Decree 10.18. I think we will not do ashram ritual because that will take long more time. 10.18 decree. Can you put on the screen, please, Jay? We can all do it together. That's one decree that I think is we can always give it as many times. Particularly, we have reviewed we have studied his pearls of wisdom in this chapter number 2. And I think it will be that for us to let's do that. I'll make invocation before that on behalf of all of us to ask El Moria to do this, his words, recite his words through us as we. So let me invite him. In Ramayam, Dada, beloved Master Moria, beloved Bapu, beloved Guru, beloved teacher, unite. We ask you to come into our temple, please, each and every one of us, to all of us, all of our will be listening to this, watching to this video recording, Facebook and YouTube and other means, that you impart your teaching through this decree. We sweetly surrender our human will to you, beloved Master Moria. Help us to understand the power of love that you embodied, and that John the Beloved and every ascended master, particularly your lifetime after lifetime, beloved Master, so we can follow on your footsteps and help others who will come after us, as the meaning of the will of God, the value of the will of God, the embodiment of the will of God, the fire of the will of God, the zeal of the will of God, and much more. We thank you as you give this your words. Please give these words to us together. Our will to thee we sweetly surrender now. Our will to God flame we ever bow. Our will passing into thine, we sweetly vow. No pain in eternal surrender. Thy will, O God, be done. From our hearts the veil now sunder. Make our wills now one. Beauty in thy purpose, joy within thy name. Life surrendered purpose, base thy holy flame. Grace within thee flowing, into mortal knowing, on our souls bestowing, is immortal sowing. Thy will be done, O God, within us every one. Thy will be done, O God, it is a living sun. Bestow thy mantle on us, thy garment living flame. Reveal creative essence, come thou once again. Thy will is ever holy, thy will is ever fair. This is my very purpose, this is my living prayer. Come, 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 O will of God, with dominion souls endow. Come, 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 O will of God, restore abundant living now. We thank you, beloved Master Moria, for your presence with us. We ask you to, as we sleep tonight, that you take us to your retreat with the Archangel Michael, the Darjeeling, or wherever you are needed to be, to learn more about these lessons so we can truly, truly, truly embody each and every gem from your heart into our each every atom, cell, and electron of our four Lord bodies. So none of that may be lost, and that we may become the lighthouse of I am that I am here and now, according to God's will. Amen. Om. So I've sealed it on behalf of all of us. I'd like to thank all of you who have stayed through, and we'll have chapter number 3 next Sunday. But also, I'd like to remind all of you have been joining uh, Tuesday morning. Actually, we have Monday night here, but Tuesday morning in India from 6 to 8 in the morning. We have 2 hours of decrease sessions. While a flame decrease, they do. I know some of those decrees are very fast. I know that, but I requested them to do some of the decrees, at a easier pace. So you do not have to be there for 2 hours. I said half an hour or more. It's up to you totally. And I think that there are about 200 groups, or connections all over the world that people that do degree. And when we multiply and add all those people who are on many hours that they're decreeing, and dispensation given to us by the master multiplied by them, they come to over 4 trillion hours, 4 trillion hours, not billion, not million, trillion hours. So those hours go into our account because we are partners, we are contributors to that big, you know, uh, treasure of light that we offer to the Master of Olive Flame. So that is for our Olive Flame, so for our family, for ourselves, our family, our friends, our neighbors, our planet, and everyone benefits from it. So that's what we talked about karma today. That is one way to balance our karma and maybe earnest strive from the master to sponsor us or accept us, or it take us higher to the next rung of ladder. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Vikramji, welcome. I did not see you earlier. Very nice that you are with us. JP sir, welcome. And see, I think I welcome all of you before that. So I do thank you from the bottom of my heart on behalf of the Chananda Culture Society. Have a great evening and great day. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. I was late.